COVID-19 count in Algoma District stands at 58 after a new case was identified by Algoma Public Health over the weekend. APH says the latest case subject was tested last Wednesday and is now self-isolating. All close contacts have been notified. Out of the 58 cases identified since the beginning of the pandemic, 10 remain active. Ontario is reporting 1,487 new cases of COVID-19 today and 10 new deaths due to the virus. Health Minister Christine Elliott says 508 cases are in Toronto, 392 in Peel Region and 170 in York Region. The province also reported 106 new COVID-19 cases related to schools, including at least 63 among students. Those bring the number of schools with a reported case to 683 out of Ontario's 4,828 publicly funded schools. In the province's long-term care homes, 716 residents currently have COVID-19 and 4 new deaths have been reported today. The province says 107 of its 626 long-term care homes are experiencing an outbreak. Meantime, 3 regions in the Toronto area joined the COVID-19 red zone today. The stricter public health measures come into effect in Hamilton, York, and Halton regions. The Liberals say they will cede some ground on the We Charity affair, which has been mired in filibusters and dueling committee motions for nearly 2 months. Government House Leader Pablo Rodriguez says his party has agreed to send unredacted documents linked to the controversy to the parliamentary law clerk, who will then decide what information needs to be blacked out to protect personal privacy. The concession comes in response to a Conservative motion that calls on the Speaker of the Commons to rule that redactions made to more than 5,000 pages of the government documents on the We affair amount to a breach of the Finance Committee's privileges. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has highlighted the work of journalists working under pressure in Hong Kong and Belarus at an international conference on media freedom. Canada's been vocal in condemning the clampdowns on democracy and free expression by the Chinese government in the former British colony of Hong Kong and the fraudulent presidential election in Belarus that has given rise to pro-democracy protests. At the same event, a coalition of international lawyers, led by a former Canadian Attorney General, called for a new global charter to protect the rights of imprisoned journalists in an increasingly hostile world. Irwin Cotler, the former Liberal Justice Minister and international human rights lawyer, made the recommendation in a report he authored for a coalition of independent international legal experts. 3 teenagers are facing charges after hosting a house party in London, Ontario over the weekend. Police say they were called to the house late on Friday night and found nearly 100 people at the party, with few wearing masks. Investigators say one 18-year-old man and 2 19-year-old men were charged under the Reopening Ontario Act with participating and hosting an indoor gathering that exceeded 10 people. This is the second large gathering where London police have issued fines in relation to the Reopening Ontario Act, which aims to slow the spread of COVID-19. Sudbury police have charged one of their own officers after he was allegedly driving while impaired when off duty. Police say that Constable Thomas Van Drunen was stopped Friday morning and after a roadside test was charged. They say Van Drunen was driving with a blood alcohol concentration equal or greater than 80 milligrams in 100 milliliters of blood. He began with the Greater Sudbury Police Service in April. Police Chief Paul Pedersen says that Van Drunen's actions do not reflect on the values or mission of the Greater Sudbury Police Service. Van Drunen will be suspended from duty with pay and may be subject to additional charges under the Police Service Act. The Northern Ontario Junior Hockey League has announced the Blind River Beavers and Sault Thunderbirds have both been cleared to resume team activities and return to the ice. Their temporary shutdown came last week after a trio of Blind River players had displayed a number of COVID-related symptoms and in turn followed protocols, including isolating for the time being. Following testing, all of the results have come back negative, and the teams are now ready to return to the ice in preparation for their season opener Friday, as the Beavers and Thunderbirds gear up to meet Friday in a 7 p.m. start at John Rhodes Community Centre. Daniel LaPrade is up next with your local weather right after this.
Hayden, get dressed. Buddy, no. Almost there. Lift your leg. Yep. Hayden, get dressed.
For someone with MS, living in a body that doesn't listen to you some days
Get dressed.
can be an act of greatness.
Good evening and welcome back on your snowy Monday. It has been quite the day and quite the weekend we had with the winds and the rain. Quite a bit of rain on Sunday, and of course that shifted over to snow late in the early evening rather into late overnight, and then yes, we've been dealing with that all day. So well, that's gonna keep up for a little bit longer tonight, and then we're gonna see the temperature stay lower, but we got some good news coming up. But let's take a look at the radar. And yes, we do see the system is over top of us here. It is moving east, and it's moving quite quickly. Now we don't have anything else coming up behind us. We are going to see a mix of sun and cloud coming up for the next few days. So there isn't a whole lot to report there at the moment. You'll see on the top left there is a big system that is currently over Minnesota and Manitoba area, and that is not going to affect us at this time. So just to get into what's going on, but we don't have our camera today because it is actually snow covered from all this blowing snow. So we're going to show you a video of some of the storm damage and stuff that was going on in Toronto area. And this is boards that are flying, or doors or boards or something that are flying around in the air. Just, it's insane. The winds were very crazy in Toronto area, and the St. Catharines hit 141 kilometers an hour. We didn't quite see that here, but we did get some high gusts. So yes, that's what was happening, but we will have our camera back tomorrow provided that it has cleared itself off. Okay, so let's get into your expected highs. Today we're -1 in Thunder Bay and Wawa, -2 in Timmins, 2 here in the Sioux, and 1 in Sudbury and Elliott Lake. What we're going to see overnight, we're looking at -8 in Thunder Bay, -12s in Wawa and Timmins, -6 here in the Sioux, and then -7 in Sudbury and Elliott Lake. We are going to see flurries with a risk of snow squalls overnight, with local blowing snow at about 5 more centimeters potentially. We may see some lake effect. Winds are going to continue to be a factor, 40 kilometers gusting to 60. Probably not enough to blow doors around in the sky like that, but still going to be breezy. We are going to see a wind chill of -13 overnight tonight. And then when we get into Tuesday, still going to be very cool. The flurries will end in the morning, but we do have a 40% chance of a flurry through the afternoon. Risk of a snow squall early in the morning as well with that wind. The wind is going to continue to blow northwest, 40 kilometers gusting to 60. Wind chill will be near -13 once again, and then we will see things warm up though to -1 by the time we get into the afternoon, before dropping back down to -5 overnight with cloudy periods and a chance of a flurry. Then we're looking at 3 degrees on Wednesday with a mix of sun and cloud, 0 overnight and cloudy. Not much to report there. It gets easier. 11 on Thursday. Look at this, back to double digits. So it's going to melt away any snow that there was. So don't get your snow blower out yet. Don't panic. Don't think that you got to do any of that, because you don't. We're only going to get down to 5 on Thursday night. So we're going to stay well above our normals for this time of year, which are, I don't have the normals in front of me actually. Apologize for that. So we are going to see on Friday 6 degrees, mix of sun and cloud, and that's going to continue. Then the clouds move in for a couple of days before we go back to mix of sun and cloud on Monday, and down to 1 degree, which is more around the normal for this time of year. We are going to see the temperatures go from -5 to 5 on Thursday overnight, and then we'll drop back down to -5 by next Monday. So not too bad of a week, and any snow that we do get should melt. Now let's look at our Weather Watcher photo, and oh dear, we have a deer sent in from Daria James. Thank you very much for sending that photo in. It's a good shot. And if you do have a photo or video weather related that you want to send, of course snow might be the theme this week, send them to ontvweather@gmail.com. Include your name and location. It will go up on our show First Local, the newscast here, and as well as on SiouxOnline.com. with our social medias as well. So while you're at SiouxOnline.com too, check out all the stories that we present to you on the newscast. The weather is there too, and you can find all the links to our social medias such as YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Everything is there for you so you can follow along. So make sure you do that. Mike will be back with more news right after this. Have a great night.
A publication ban is now in place with regard to a murder in the East End. The ban makes it illegal to share specifics of the court case, including the name of the accused and the victim. Algoma Crown attorney Kelly Weeks says publication bans are often imposed to ensure the integrity of ongoing police investigations. Weeks says these types of bans typically remain in place throughout the entire process. A 26-year-old man is facing theft-related charges after Sault Ste. Marie police attended a residence on Pentagon Boulevard. Officers were looking into a stolen vehicle. When they arrived, they spotted the accused standing outside. They arrested him and began a search. Officers found the accused to be in possession of keys to another vehicle reported stolen earlier in the day, as well as credit cards that did not belong to him. Nelson Solomon is charged with possession of property obtained by crime under $5,000 and 3 counts of possession of stolen credit cards. He'll appear in court December 21st. A call about a suspicious vehicle has resulted in charges against 3 people. Sault Ste. Marie police responded to a call in the 600 block of 2nd Line West last Friday morning. Upon approaching the vehicle, officers noticed a lot of property inside, including a snowblower that had been reported stolen last month. The 3 occupants of the vehicle were arrested. A subsequent search turned up break-in tools and other stolen property. 23-year-old Aurora Burr of Calgary, 41-year-old Calvin Howerluck of Calgary, and 39-year-old Kem Hyvernen of Neebing, Ontario, are charged with 2 counts of possession of property obtained by crime, possession of break-in tools, and possession of instruments for breaking into coin-operated devices. Hyvernen is also charged with breach of probation. As the second wave of the COVID-19 pandemic continues, Indigenous students in Sault Ste. Marie continue their journey to become software testers. Local students are kicking off the software tester program provided by Plato Testing and are remotely joining others in Regina. Plato President Dennis Carignan says the pandemic has forced a rethink of how the program is delivered. He says this new hybrid approach allows for Indigenous communities from different parts of the country to get to know one another. Plato Testing is Canada's only Indigenous-led and staffed software testing company. They offer 5 months of in-class training followed by a 3-month paid internship. Once that's completed, graduates are offered full-time jobs with Plato Testing. The director of the National Centre for Truth and Reconciliation says Ottawa and provincial and territorial governments must build monuments in capital cities across Canada to honour residential school survivors and their families. Speaking to the House of Commons Heritage Committee, Stephanie Scott says symbols are powerful medicine to bring comfort to survivors and to keep their experiences in front of the nation. Scott says creating a national day to mark truth and reconciliation is also important to acknowledge survivors and the human rights violations they endured. The Michigan Department of Health and Human Services is reacting to rapidly rising COVID-19 infection rates by issuing a new order targeting indoor social gatherings. Under the order, which is in place for 3 weeks, indoor residential gatherings are limited to 2 households at any one time. Families are being urged to pick a single other household to interact with over the 3-week period. The order comes due to the rapid number of coronavirus cases developing around residential and non-residential gatherings. I'm Mike McDonald. We have more news and weather coming up.